Welcome to ABAS Seasonal Bonsai Series, Take 5.
So we're having an emergency video here because it's only been 3 weeks since since we defoliated all this and worked on these trees, and things are happening, and we really want to take a video so you could see we're going to be doing some stuff. So let's start. Really quickly through each tree, just very briefly, growing really strongly. The tips are very red, which means it's actively growing, and we're going to let that grow. Cover more of that a little bit later. This one, nice bright green, growing tips very nicely. We're going to have to revisit this because it needs to be pinched back and it's growing out almost too fast. So I have to look at that. But growing nicely, just too nicely. This one was our weakest one. Again, so you have red tips. We didn't do anything last time because it was a little bit weak. This has greened up nicely just in 3 weeks. So now it's ready to work on much harder. We're going to do the most work on this one. Renee's tree, which is the most developed, still very small leaves, very little, you know how short all of this is, but we still need to do a little bit of pinching compared to the other ones. This is slowed. This is nice and slow, and this has not been fertilized yet. So that's part of the reason for that. It's the whole way you develop this slowly. They're tiny. They're beautiful. All right, so one by one, let's do this. Really quick on this one, we're going to do almost nothing. We're going to pull out weeds. Always pull out weeds. That's it, because we've been good about that. I had wired these, and you see where this is a very small wire. There's 3 of them. But you look at this, and I'm going to cut this off because I think it's pretty subtle. It's cutting in. This one I think is worse. So in 3 weeks, that's what happened. I'm taking this off now, I'm okay. If I wait longer, that's only going to get worse. So I'm going to finish taking all this wire off. It's probably already set. And then I'm doing nothing again. This is going to grow until I can't stand it anymore. I don't care how far this grows if it gets in the way of something. So, done. Our second tree, we did a lot of work on this. We cut everything back. We made a new apex. And I'm going to cover this part of it first. We left these, and these are our sacrifice branches. So in 2 weeks, I took this wire off because you can see the scar right there. And it's not too bad. And now it's been another week, and let's see. Hopefully in 1 week, okay, there's no scar there. But I'm going to go ahead and take it off because on this side, I didn't touch this because 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, I thought this was okay. And now you can just see it, how bad it is. Don't move it. I can't. There.
Stop a second so we can get.
Okay. That's how bad this is. 2 weeks.
Let it just move. Let it move.
There.
Let it focus.
I'm going to cut it all the way back to the base. Since this is a sacrifice branch, it doesn't matter. But if this was a branch I wanted to keep, this would be a disaster. So let me cut off everything on this one, and you can see at the base. I cut it off. I did some damage just using the wire cutters. All right. Can you see? So way back here, you have one there, one there. You've got a bud here. I'm going to keep letting this grow out, and I think it's going to be okay. It'll thicken up, and I'm only going to use out to about there. Anyway, doesn't matter what happens to the rest of it. So I think I've kind of dodged a bullet, and the next time we look at it, it's probably going to be grown out and you won't even see most of that. So I'm okay there. And same thing on, let me just do these two on this one. See, that's fine. Out to there, and I'm only going to use maybe out to here. And as this grows, it's not bad enough that it's going to be a problem. But you have to watch this like a hawk. Okay? The other thing we're doing, and this is when you've defoliated, starts growing, and it grows pretty strong because this is the apex. You have to get in there and cut off these tips like that. See, this one has one there at the base, then this came up, and this came up, and now you've got the fourth one. So I'm going to cut it to there, and that's going to slow this down. And I'm going to do that with all of these. And it's not critical how far you go. You just go down to 2 leaves. And I'm going to, everything I see, I'm going to take off. And it's going to look like a big wad of leaves. And it doesn't matter. The important thing is that we're slowing it down. So and then from here too, in a week or two, it's going to put out more. So you keep doing this. You don't ignore it. You keep cutting it back. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you, the plan was, we drew this out. This was really long. We cut it off. We wanted buds coming from out here, and then we were going to continue to make this bigger. This was going to be our apex. Nothing came out. So it's still green underneath, but if there's no buds from here to here, nothing's going to come out. So because of that, and the fact that we have a wound there, a wound here, another wound right here, this is a problem. This is going to get thick. I don't think there's anything. We can't thread graft through there. This is not going to save how thick this is getting. So about the only thing we can do, back to the front, this is the front, we may have to go a new cut. We're going to have to go down and cut all that off. But we're not going to do it right now. But we can cut all that, maybe use this. I think there's one in the back we might be able to use. So we went backwards instead of forwards with this. So we have to regroup. The one positive thing and the most important thing is the root grafts are working. These are all alive. So this was the most critical part of it. We can rebuild that, and we've got our primary branches still thickening up. We're going to go with it. And this is a long process, but this happens. This is the way they grow sometimes. You never know what's going to happen. All right, and here is Challenger, still a challenge. If you remember last time we put a thread graft here, it has not budded out, and I believe that's partly because there's so much foliage up above it. So there's no reason for it to bud out. We're going to cut this back, see if we can get this to work. We still have this marked red. This is the front of our tree there, and we have all of our root grafts. This one died. It's still green. but it's pretty much dead. So that one might not have taken. I think we have another one back here. It was really puny, and I don't believe that one took either. But we have 3 to 4 that did work. So we won't know what's happening with that until we repot. So I'm going to cover these up so you can see what's going on here. So we have that thread graft. This is the center. We're going to put a thread graft right here because we need to take that off. This is too thick. Thread graft goes there. We've marked the thread graft with white. This hasn't budded out yet. This was a thread graft we did 3 weeks ago, nothing. And that's because of all of this stuff growing up here. If we take away a lot of this, some energy will go to this, and hopefully, because it's green and it's got buds, and we're hoping that buds out. All right. This is still our apex. We've marked it with the red, still there. But we want to put a thread graft right there because this has to be cut off. We're not going to cut all this off immediately, but this is really thick, heavy thread graft there. So I've marked it there. All of these get cut back. And I've picked out the long growth that I'm going to use for my thread graft, and I've put pipe cleaner on it because if you're running through cutting all of these off, you don't want to cut off that. You don't want to cut off the one we already did. And I've done this before. Here's the back end of that thread graft, and there's a pipe cleaner because you really don't want to cut that off. And then I'm also going to put a thread graft here because this needs to be cut off. It's straight. It's going the wrong angle. You could just cut it off and say, oh, it'll bud out. While I've had like the other one, it didn't bud out. So this is going to be my insurance thread graft to see. Hopefully, if nothing else comes out, that's going to be okay. And other than that, we're going to cut all of this off, basically a partial defoliation. So Renee and I are going to go at it. All right. So I'm going to start by just going back 2 leaves. So all of these big guys are going to come off.
Checking for white.
So this is our thread graft. But so I don't need all of these. And if you don't have the leaves there, then you know that that's not going to be a real branch. This is all going to get cut off.
So let it defoliate.
So I defoliate up this because all I need is the tip. And it's a distraction. And that's probably good enough. Same thing. This is the one we did. And it's coming from right here. So these are a distraction. That needs to go off. I can leave this lowest one. If I cut it right there, I have this, and it'll bud out there if I want that. But all of this is, and they'll grow. This is almost like an apex. It'll grow dramatically, and I don't want it to. Okay. So that one's prepped. This one, oh, you cut, oh yeah, and you're cutting that off, getting it ready. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so show us that one.
defoliating the extensions here that we're going to thread graft. Taking the leaves off so we can thread it through in one place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you hold it still.
Okay.
There. Keep going.
You can thread it through, I guess, as far as you want. It's only necessary to get, the very tip through. These are all pretty good short internodes on this, unbelievably, since it's on this huge extension here. But the nodes are pretty close together, so that's a good thing. So we got some nice tight nodes on this, which is going to, this is the part that's going to go through. We could potentially thread it through to there, have this extending beyond the trunk and using this, to start our new branch from, because we have all kinds of potentials for buds to pop on all of these nodes. So if we threaded it through to there, then we would have many options here for things to pop out.
I'm going to swing it around. We still need to cut more off of that, but I wanted to swing this around because let's sweep the thing off. Since we are going to thread graft here, we don't need this branch going up there. That's all coming off. But for now, I'm going to cut it there and then cut that short. So
You're leaving some on.
I'm leaving some on because I want to make sure it's alive, but I want to weaken it so much that it definitely takes the thread graft, but it will go with the thread graft rather than out here. So that can be cut back to, okay, like that. And it doesn't really matter, and then that gets cut back farther.
Don't you want to leave some green on that one?
Yeah, I think it's going to come back. Doesn't matter. We can leave it on. It's so far out that it's not bothering anything, so we can leave that on. Okay. And this is our dead, really ugly. And I'm not gonna. I mean, it's dead. Oh, but it's still too thick, so it's got to come off anyway. But nicely that I know this is alive here, so this should be able to be fed and grow. Okay. So we still need a little bit over here to do. This is our apex. We let that grow. I shortened everything in front of it because it's okay if this goes. I want this to go slow down. The same thing. This has to be, anything that comes out here has to be pinched when it comes out. And we'll see how that comes out. Okay. And this we don't really want either. And that we don't want, but we have to keep this because we have a thread graft at the end of it. This is the danger going, oh, I want to cut this right here. No, we have to keep that. I can cut this back a little bit. So that stays. All right. So a little bit more over here, watching for this. And same thing, see all this stuff coming in? This is the thread graft coming out here, so I can cut that off. Because you think, oh, look at the foliage there. This is not keepable. Once you cut this, it all goes away. So I'm cutting off that. Okay, I don't care about it. It doesn't have to be every single thing, just though. And sometimes this will grow also. I'm going to leave this one right here. Once you cut this off, sometimes this will also have healed into the branch that's there, and you can actually use this. So I'm going to leave that. It's kind of interesting that way. And that could actually work. Okay. Scissors on this case. And if you, it's hard to see, but each one of these little lines could form buds. So you really don't need to worry about where you cut this. If you cut it here, that's going to form buds there. That's going to form leaves. This one, you've got a little internode from here to here. There's no leaves forming there. There's leaves, there's buds behind it, there's buds in front of it. And then this is just line after line after line. Lots of buds. So I'm going to cut it just to be safe halfway through that. And I'll get something growing out of that. Tridents are pretty forgiving that way. And it's kind of easy to see where the buds are. So was this one we were going to cut off eventually?
Yes.
Yes. So we were going to cut this off. So let's cut it off. Farther. Whee! I have buds there. Careful, Carmen. Okay. That's going to bud out. Cut that off. And the idea is this whole thing is going to come off. But in the meantime, I do want it to grow. If this died, then I'd count on this thread graft. And I'm never 100% about anything working. Oh, let's cut the back further too. Okay. So we have stuff out of the way. This should give this enough light. Don't want that. For this. What the heck? There. It's going to be back in 2 weeks anyway, but give this a chance to grow. I think we're about ready.
Ready for the thread grafts.
Thread grafts.
Get the drill.
All right. And we're not going to show you the thread grafts, or we'll show it quickly, but there is an ABAS video online that shows how to do thread grafts, and you'll see this whole process. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel, re-describe it over and over again. So we're going to do the thread grafts and bring it back and show it to you. All right, we've done our thread grafts. We've got this one, and this is the old one. So this is the old one. We've cleaned all this out, so hopefully this will bud out now. There. And then this one's coming right through here. We left it nice and long. I kind of tucked it back there just to get out of the way. That should grow there because this is now clean up above it. I'm going to turn it towards the front. And the third one is here. We've kind of changed our mind a little bit for what we're going to use. We decided if we left this huge whip that was going to get it stronger as a sacrifice branch, all the growth is going to go up for that, and that this might not take off. So we've decided to use that big, long sacrifice branch and make that our thread graft. So this is really long, should be fine. This is going to be our new sacrifice branch. But you've seen how they grow. It's going to grow a mile, and that's going to be just fine. The other thing we did, one more thing on the back, because of what we put in through here and through there, I cut this branch off. Yeah, it was way up like this. So it was in the way. It's really straight. I don't really want it, and it was too congested. It's easier just to have that off. There's a collar around it, and it may bud out from there. Probably will. So I will use that if I need it, and I just need to seal that wound. Back to the front. So there we are. It's beautiful, isn't it? And we'll probably be back in a couple of months because it's going to be crazy again. Thank you.
Okay, just a final few words about the developed trident for our June session. I'm not going to do a lot to this tree right now. You can see it's budding out. It's very, very tiny leaves. It's a little bit weak. Looking at it, making a judgment, I need to put fertilizer on this now so it gets a little bit stronger. We're going to do a little bit of pinching on the top as the things grow. Just pinch back to 2 leaves and just kind of let it grow for now. Not much to do at this particular moment in time until it grows out again. So we'll put the fertilizer on, my custom scoop that holds exactly 15 pieces of BioGold. So we're just going to put a couple of scoops on there. 15 pieces per 6-inch pot is what it says on the bag. So I put on this one, I'm going to put 2 scoops because this is about a 12-inch pot. So there we go. We're all set. Back out to the bench and let it grow.